Any stories stand out to you, Mark, with flying in the V-22?
Yeah, a good friend of mine, another V-22 guy who's also a motocross guy.
Brad, right?
Brad,
Yeah.
Brad Gotro. We were in Afghanistan, and he was going on a flight mission, and he hit me up and asked me if I wanted to tag along. And in between the pilot and the co-pilot chair in the cockpit, there's a jump seat that sits
yep.
on the door that closes the cockpit. So they strapped me into this jump seat. So I'm sitting here kind of above and behind the two pilots, and I'm just watching it all happen.
This is the troop seat that Mark was talking about. So when you close this door, that troop seat is sitting between the pilots. Co-pilot on the left, pilot on the right.
And when these guys put their headsets on and they're talking, there's no human element whatsoever. They become robots at that point. They're doing everything that's like precision, rehearsed. Everything's no emotion, super calm.
By the checklist.
Yeah, by the checklist. They go through a very strict checklist to make sure that they do the same thing every time. Well, they base their fuel on how far they need to go and how much weight they're going to be carrying. Well, the ground side, we always get asked, well, how much weight are you putting in this tri-wall box that's going in there? How many packs are you putting on there? They want to know the total weight. And on the ground side, we're always like, I don't understand, why is this so important? So everybody just kind of fudges the numbers a little bit. They round up a little bit. So anyway, they had gotten their estimate from the ground as far as how much cargo is going to be on board. And so we took off from Fob Leatherneck, or what's the Fob, right? Bastion.
Yep.
Camp Bastion
Camp
is
Bastion.
The aviation camp right next to Camp Leatherneck. So I went over there and we took off. And when we first took off, he said, well, we feel a little bit heavier than I thought we were. And so we take off and we're flying to this base called Marja, Fob Marja. And at the time, Marja was a very hot zone. And the only footprint that we had there was a very small compound. The FOB stands for Forward Operating Base. And the FOB could be anything from a self-built compound that's in the middle of nowhere. In this case, it was a pre-existing group of Afghani huts and buildings and stuff, had a wall all the way around it. So the compound in the middle was pretty small. It was only big enough that they could land one bird in there at a time. And so we're coming up to this compound, and he rolls the nacelles back and he's slowing down. And I'm listening to the chatter over the radio, and they're coming in, and he's like, I'm slowing down. He's like, I can't remember the terms that they used, but he wasn't scrubbing off speed as fast as he wanted to. So he was coming in pretty quick.
Coming in hot.
And without ever hearing any inflection in his voice or stress or fear or anything like that, he just said, yeah, we're coming in too hot. I don't have enough power to slow the descent, so we're going to have to wave off and go burn off some fuel. And so just in a matter of seconds, he went from full throttle trying to slow down to he rolled the nacelles forward and went full throttle into, hey, I'm taking off again. And so we flew off past the FOB, and we went and cut circles around the desert for like 45 minutes, I think. And I said, I waited until it was all over because I got the feeling that something crazy was happening. And then when it was finally like calm enough for me to chime in, I said, hey, Brad, what just happened? And he's like, we almost crashed. He said, we just came in there way too hot, and we had way more weight in the back combined with the weight that we took on in fuel. And when we started to do the decel into that small little compound, I couldn't slow down the bird, and we almost crashed into one of those buildings. But
yeah.
his training kicked in, and he immediately just switched to another plan, and he rolled off, and we went and burned off some fuel until we were light enough to make that landing safely.
And I think that's one of the things that's always amazed me about the V-22 itself and the abilities of these pilots. I've had the privilege of flying with a ton of amazing pilots, and the same thing, like at a moment's notice things can go completely wrong, and then you find yourself in a very bad situation, but they just simply react, recover, and move on.